turn us on. When you're coming home.
Welcome back. Spotlight on the North Alton Godfrey Business Council continues at 9:44. That's enough ELO for today. Don, how are we doing?
I like ELO.
Oh, so believe it or not, I'm a huge super fan. I'm going to see Jeff Lynne in September. Farewell tour.
I heard about that, I think, on Keishi.
Yeah.
Farewell tour.
Farewell tour to ELO. I'm going. It's Enterprise, but Scott Trade Center for me. Keel.
Well, you know, them, the Eagles, Bob Seger, you know.
You can't go wrong anymore.
Well, you better dig deep in the pocketbook if you're going to go. I'm sure Jeff Lynne, no offense, Jeff, he might be a little less expensive than the other two mentioned.
Yeah, no,
So.
he was the less the nicest on my bank account.
There you go. I'm not surprised. Again, Jeff, no offense. Love your music, love your group, but you know, we were talking about that the other day. Something about a local band. I forget who it was, but a bunch of young guys, and they're out there playing. And somebody was like, it was obviously one of their first times out of the garage. Yeah, and they were having trouble on the harmony on one of the songs. And I said, well, you've got to have the instrumentation, or you've got to have the harmony. But if you have the instrumentation plus the harmony, then you get the Eagles.
Yeah, that's true. My parents said that was a great show. They went down to that one over a couple months ago. But, you know, Don, we were just talking. You started Riverbend Investment Management in a fun year in 2020.
Yeah, right. As COVID was, I guess, decreasing. But, yeah, not a great time to start a business. But honestly, CJ, if I had to do it all over again, I don't think I'd change a thing.
Really?
So, yeah, it's have a great clientele. Love being a part of the community in the area. I've lived here for about 20 years now. My wife is originally from the area. She's from Bethalto.
Oh, cool.
A lot of family still in the area on her side. So it's I've enjoyed being a part of the community. Still do a lot to this day. And no, like I said, I don't think I'd change anything.
Well, and now, where were you from originally?
I'm originally from Ohio.
Oh, cool. What part?
The northern part of Ohio.
Is that Steubenville area?
No.
Dang it.
But my brother actually lives in Steubenville.
Because I love the Don Rickles, Steubenville, Ohio. Lunch. You know, it's my favorite Rickles joke.
There you go. and actually, Dean Martin is from Steubenville.
It was the roasted Dean Martin. Yeah. That's why I love it.
Now, Steubenville is way on the eastern part of the state, close to West Virginia. I'm from the northern part of the state, kind of between Cleveland and Columbus.
Really cool. So the good part.
That's right. Really rural. I mean, if you think about around this area here, like Jersey County, Macoupin County, rural, small towns. But no, my wife's from Bethalto, so I married a Bethalto girl. And as you know, local girls, it's tough getting them to leave the area. So, yeah.
100%. And now, how long have you been in the investment industry?
This is my 33rd year.
Wow.
And, the reason I decided to start, my practice was just, I want to work for my clients and I want to work for my family. Mm-hmm. So I've worked for several different institutions, and it was just time in my career to just kind of go out on my own. And I love being an entrepreneur. I love the flexibility that it gives me. Still have 2 kids at home, one in college, one in high school, so I get to be involved in their lives as much as they let me. and get to do some other things in the community that are very fulfilling as well.
Well, and whenever you made the decision, I'm sure it's still a nerve-wracking one, because you're going, well, it's time to jump, but there's still obviously some question, that you have. Was there any type of nerves for you? Because you seem pretty confident about it when just hearing from you that it was time to make this change and you were going to do it.
Well, I mean, I think any entrepreneur, when you're starting a new business, yourself included, you're wondering, where am I going to get clients from? Are people going to latch on to the message that I'm putting out there? So I think that's really the only nervousness of, hey, can I do this? But after nearly 30 years in the industry at that time, I would think you would develop a little bit of confidence. I would hope. Some people never do, and that's fine. And there was a point in my career where I thought, hey, maybe I would never branch out on my own either. But again, the timing was right. COVID notwithstanding, And, almost 4 years later, here we are.
Well, and take me through some of the things you do day in, day out for your clients, some of the services that you're able to render. I'm sure there's a whole plethora and a whole palette that you're able to offer with Riverbend Investment Management.
There are, but I would say, CJ, honestly, the number one topic on most people's minds financially, no offense to their kids, grandkids, their jobs, other things in their lives, but the number one topic is retirement.
Yeah.
Because I think for the one simple fact, we don't know how long retirement is going to last. Like I mentioned, I've got one that's going to be a junior at ISU this fall. I've got one that's going to be a junior in high school. We know for the most part how long our academic careers are going to last. We also know for the most part, sometimes it can differ, but we kind of have an idea how long our working careers are going to last. Mm-hmm. But what we don't know is how long retirement will last, because, quite honestly, we don't know how long we're going to live. So a lot of my practice is built around helping people retire comfortably, feel good about what they're doing, have the lifestyle that they want, maintain an income stream, a budget, just kind of build an income plan so that they know, retirement is just a fancy word for I have voluntarily chosen to stop working. I don't need to work anymore, or I choose not to work anymore. So we try to help people make those decisions. And CJ, a lot of times it's not strictly a financial decision.
No.
It's an emotional one. It's a psychological one. Again, no offense to the ladies in the audience, but us guys kind of define ourselves a lot of times by what we do.
Yep.
And so if I'm no longer going to do something, how am I going to define my life? How am I going to be fulfilled? What am I going to do in my community with my family, other things like that? So the services we provide, again, it's not just financial in nature. It's a lot of times just making people think about, hey, as you're considering this next step, what are you going to do with your life beyond the financial side of it?
Well, and that's honestly a really good point, because I used to, across the dial, you hear the retirement shows and they always try to talk about those things, but they don't really talk about just what you just said. What are their goals? What do you want to do when you retire? Because it's your choice. If you want to retire and you want to go travel the world and you want to go do things, then let's budget for that. Let's make sure we have something set up for it. Is a lot of what you do when you first meet with a client when it comes to setting up for retirement, is that just getting to know who they are as people, really?
Yes, it's nothing more than what you and I are doing right here.
That's what I bet. I figured that.
It's a conversation. You don't want it to be an interview, but it can be that way sometimes because you're asking a lot of questions. But yes, you're just trying to get from the folks that hopefully want to work with you and you want to work with them, and it's a good fit. What do you picture your retirement being like? And sometimes what it ends up being is a lot different than what they think it's going to be, because life gets in the way. Children, somebody might get a new job. Hey, now the kids and grandkids who we thought we were going to have in our lives, maybe they're halfway across the country. Or no offense again to spouses everywhere out there, but now that I'm home 8, 10, 12, 15 hours a day with my spouse or significant other, we have found that having that much time together may not be the greatest thing, or let's transition into this. Let's just not go cold turkey. So maybe I'm going to work part-time for a year or two,
right,
and then transition into full retirement. Again, if people have to go back to work after they retire, I want that to be, we're doing this because we want to do it, not because we have to do it. And the people that have had to go back to work that I've worked with in my practice throughout my career, we've only had a handful that have had to go back to work. And that's because, again, some unforeseen financial circumstance came up that couldn't be planned for, and it happened. But most people, again, I think we do a good job working with them, trying to set expectations, what it's going to look like emotionally, what it's going to look like financially, and we try to eliminate as many surprises as we can.
No, and it might sound like a stupid question, but what is the best age to start planning for retirement?
I would say 50.
Okay.
Again, everybody's different. Everybody's family situations are different. But again, if you can get to a point in your life where you don't have a whole lot of debt obligations, where a lot of the payments are kind of, going off the rolls. Maybe the house is getting close to getting paid off, or maybe it's already paid off. Maybe we're getting the kids through school and providing support to whatever level that, our budget will allow there. A little bit of debt in retirement is not necessarily a bad thing, but most of the clients that I work with and have worked with in the past, if they have a successful retirement financially, it usually starts with we're starting to get the debt, the payments kind of off the books.
Yep.
To when we retire. Now we have the flexibility to spend that money on other things, on the grandkids, maybe helping them prepare for their educational careers, maybe doing some traveling, maybe doing some charitable things. So again, just depends what folks want to do, and we want to provide the flexibility to allow them to do those things.
Well, and that's another point that I had a question for you about this is, how do you plan for things that are unknown? Because of, medications or things that any type of medical expense, do you have a way that you're able to calculate or at least set aside some type of relief there? Because you never know if you're going to live to be 90 and perfectly healthy, or 65 hits you and all of a sudden things change. How do you guys kind of combat that?
We try to have, CJ, with every client, we try to have what we call 3 pools of money, or 3 buckets of money.
Okay.
And it's kind of a good strategy to follow. Bucket number 1 is kind of what I call your working capital. That's what's paying the bills every month. And again, with your retirement plan, if we have to plan to generate an additional source of income to go along with your pension, if you have one, to go along with your 401k, if you have one. So we have all those discussions. More to your point is bucket number 2. Always have an emergency fund. Have that fund in your savings account, in a money market account, at your bank or your credit union, wherever financial institution you're doing business with. Try to have between 6 and 12 months of living expenses in that emergency fund. So if I need a new roof, it's 90 degrees outside, if the air conditioning goes out, if a family member has some sort of emergency that I'm willing and able to temporarily help with. So bucket number 2, we try to always encourage people to have an emergency fund available for those unforeseen things. And then bucket number 3, that's our long-term money. That's what's generating retirement income. That's what we're saving for the grandkids' education or somebody else in the family, or that's money that we're going to take our trip to Ireland or whatever the case may be. That's kind of money that we've got set aside working in the financial markets, and we try not to touch that. And that's why we always want to have a good emergency fund in bucket number 2.
Man, it's really good to know, and just nice to hear too, because I've always wondered that, and I've never had the guts to ask him while on the air, But I Don, you're pretty laid back enough for me to ask the question.
Well, thanks, CJ.
Well,
I don't know that my kids would consider me laid back, but who knows?
That's a different situation. But being a part of the business council, being a part of North Alton Godfrey, just take me through your experience if you could.
I've been a member of the group for 3 years. One of my former colleagues at a former employer introduced me to the group, and it's really a good fit for me. The reason it's a good fit for me is it's a smaller group. A lot of entrepreneurial people like myself that maybe are a one-man shop like me, or have just a couple of employees. We don't have a whole lot of people involved that work for big companies. And again, I've worked for big companies before. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. Also, I like our community involvement. Mm-hmm. Every year, I'm part of the folks that are out there ringing the bells for the Salvation Army around the holidays. We water flowers here in town, do donations to various local charitable groups. And again, our meetings are community focused. It's a community local group. I know that's a cliche sometimes, but that's really what drew me to the group, and the charitable aspect of it is something that I really, really enjoy.
Man, that fly is just going after everybody in the studio today. And, Don, what I think's great about it, too, is just to see, just to have new, like you starting an organization 3 years ago and have a new business as a part of it. I think it's just seeing the dynamic play out, because everyone's always talking to everybody. It's not really a true competitor, or any rifts. It's just a good fit and a good neighborhood feeling,
I tell my kids this all the time. It always pays to be nice to people, because you never know where you're going to run into them. And again, during the little things it's not a little thing, it's a major thing. that we do for the community with the Salvation Army
Yeah.
in conjunction with them, the bell ringing. It's amazing. You're there for 2 hours, 3 hours. Hopefully you have good weather, which makes more people in a good mood. They want to donate. You're not out there freezing. It's amazing. In that 2 or 3 hours, the people that walk into, Schnucks or Walmart or wherever we may be doing it, and it's amazing the people that you see, that that stop and talk. And yeah, that's really what I enjoy most about this area, is pretty much every day when you're out and about, could be eating lunch somewhere, could be doing something like this, and you always run into somebody that or have known, maybe haven't seen for a while. So I really enjoy that part of it as well.
It's just cool. And now, are you taking clients right now?
Absolutely. We are taking new clients. My website is up at www.RiverBend.com. IM stands for Investment Management. I have an office in the D'Adrian Professional Park. And so, yes, people are welcome to visit my website. I'm also on LinkedIn. And, we can... if they're interested in coming in and having a consultation, getting a second opinion about their current situation, we are more than happy to have those discussions.
And I'm going to start planning for retirement today. No, I'm just kidding. 50. I got 25 more years.
I think you've got some time. However, now let me sound like the industry guy. CJ, it's never too early to start. It's never too early to start.
And that gets me every time.
There you go.
We're rolling up to top of the hour here, 10 o'clock in downtown Alton. We'll take a quick pause. We'll do top of the hour news, and then we'll continue our daily show. We'll take a quick break and more of this, whatever it is, afterwards.